Hi there, good morning. It's great to see you again today for Midweek Morning Encouragement. My name is John Tracy, and I tell you what, we are freezing here in Florida. I think it's down in like the low 60s, maybe even the 50s, I'm not sure, but regardless, I'm looking forward to a little bit more time with you around the scriptures as we start our day. And I'd be surprised if there's anyone listening to this video this morning who can't identify on some level with what it feels like to be rejected by other people. I mean, I certainly can. And what a painful experience that always is. When we feel like, I don't fit in and they don't like me. They never include me. They never invite me. They never want me around. I've tried reaching out and being friendly to them, but they never reciprocate. So there must be something wrong with me. And I'm just resigned now to be alone and to withdraw and not to engage anymore because frankly, I've tried all that before and it didn't work and I'm not doing it again. I'm not going to open myself back up and risk being hurt again, being vulnerable. It's just burnt me one too many times. I'm done. Man, I certainly wish that I could eliminate all of that kind of thing forever for both you and for me. We've all probably felt like that at times, some more than others. I wish that never again would we have to deal with the hurt and the pain that is caused when people either, intentionally sometimes, but also unintentionally will send the wrong message that they don't care about you, that you don't matter, that you're not valuable. It's actually a pretty frequent thing. You might be surprised to learn that as a pastor, I'll sit with people who I love, who have been hurt in these exact ways, and they're struggling to process the repercussions of how the resulting emotions affect their outlook on their lives and their family and their ministry. So if that's you today, friend, I just want to say that with every fiber of my being, I so desperately wish that I could just erase those experiences from my world and from yours and pave the way to a life without any more rejection for you. But I think we both know I can't do that. But what I do want to do this morning is just simply to encourage you with the scriptures and let you know that I'm praying that God will actually heal your heart from those exact kinds of deep wounds, because the reality is that each of those holes left from some act of rejection by some other person can also be an opportunity for God to create more and more space for His grace to take hold of your heart. Have you ever thought about the fact that even in rejection, there are actually some wonderful gifts and opportunities to embrace to help us grow as disciples of Jesus Christ? And listen, I know this can be a challenging conversation to have, and some of you are like wanting to hang up on me right now, but I'd say just hang on for a few more minutes. Let me just share 3 of these, what I'm going to call rejection gifts that I'm thinking about this morning. The first one is just that simple statement: rejection is a gift. It is. I know it hurts, but that's what the Bible teaches. It says that when we decrease, God makes more room in our lives to increase through us. Listen to John 3:28 through 31. John the Baptist is talking here. He says, "You yourselves bear me witness that I said, I am not the Christ, but I have been sent before him. The one who has the bride is the bridegroom. The friend of the bridegroom who stands and hears him rejoices greatly at the bridegroom's voice. Therefore, this joy of mine is now complete. He must increase, but I must decrease. He who comes from above is above all. He who is of the earth belongs to the earth and speaks in an earthly way. He who comes from heaven is above all." See, John the Baptist is insisting to his followers that he is not the anointed one that has been prophesied of. He said there, I'm the one who comes before him. He's the groom, Jesus. He must take center stage, which means inevitably that I am like the best man who must step out of the way, step aside. Imagine what everyone would miss at a wedding if the best man refused to get out of the way and let the groom take his place. The radiant bride will only walk down that aisle when she knows that her groom is at the end ready to receive her. Isn't that right? One man actually paraphrased that passage that I just read there in the book of John this way. He said, "This is the assigned moment for Jesus to move into the center while I slip off in the sidelines." You see, when we end up on the sidelines like that, we feel like we've been set apart. Those are the exact moments to recognize that God intends to give special wisdom and direction to us for the next needed assignment. As we decrease, even if it means through the means of rejection, those are humbling moments, but they're opportunities for God and His grace to increase in our lives. And so when you and I are made less and pushed to the side, we have to recognize that's actually a gift. and that we're in exactly the place that we need to be in order to let Jesus and his fame increase in us and through us while we step out of the way. But here's another one. Not only would I say rejection is a gift, but related, I would say, number 2, loneliness is a gift. That's hard to swallow, isn't it? I get it. But I want you to think about this. For starters, loneliness develops in us a deeper sense of compassion for other people who are also lonely and isolated and need a friend. It gives us eyes to see and experience something that better equips us to serve other people. But not only that, lonely times also seem to be precisely when Jesus lavishes his most intimate compassion on us. I don't know if you've ever noticed that in the gospel accounts, Jesus seemed to speak the most intimately to the people who were lonely. I mean, I doubt his conversation with the Samaritan woman at Jacob's well in John 4 would have been quite the same if she'd been there with a big group of friends, right? And we see a similar kind of personalized message for the lonely woman caught up in adultery over in John chapter 8. What about his care for the bleeding woman in Mark chapter 5, or the leper that he touched and healed in Mark chapter 1? You see, he invested personally and intimately in people like that who were certainly not on the most popular list, but were actually on the societal outcast list in that day. And as a result, were rejected and alone, like women and the poor and the unclean, the oppressed, the racial outcasts. He went after those kinds of people who were not included and weren't loved by many, and as a result were left alone, and not just physically, but left alone even emotionally and spiritually. But Jesus intentionally met them right there in those lonely places and lavished his compassion and his grace on them. And so that is exactly what he intends to do for us as well. The conversations that we have with the Lord in those seasons of loneliness are opportunities for greater personal intimacy with him. That's why I would say that loneliness can actually be a tremendous gift, because it opens the door to experience more intimate relationship with Jesus Christ the Lord, the one, by the way, who the Bible calls the man of sorrows. Have you ever thought about that? Isaiah 53:3, he was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, a man acquainted with grief. See, Jesus knows about loneliness. Think about that. I mean, he grew up as a sinless person in a sinful world. How do you think a sinful world looks at a sinless person? I mean, no doubt that created all kinds of lonely rejection moments for him as a child, as a sibling, as an adolescent, as a person who stuck out like a sore thumb in an ungodly world. And listen to 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21. For our sake, God the Father made Jesus to be sin who knew no sin, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. See, I bring that up because Jesus' loneliness reached its apex the very moment he became sin for us. Because on the cross, he was forsaken by his own Father. Matthew 27:46 says that. Jesus felt the most intense form of rejection and loneliness possible, which is precisely why he is perfectly suited to understand our loneliness and our times of rejection. Hebrews 4:15 says that he is the one who can sympathize and empathize with that very kind of thing. And so if you're feeling lonely and rejected today, listen to me, Jesus understands. And he's moving toward you right now, desiring greater intimacy and relationship right in this season of time. So loved one, embrace the opportunity before you with these gifts of loneliness and rejection. And the last one I want to talk about, one more, is the fact that even silence is a gift. Listen to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, where it says, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. And down in verse 7, a time to be silent and a time to speak. See, when we're alone without a ton of people talking to us and without very many people for us to talk to, there's an incredible opportunity there to hear the still small voice of God's Spirit in a way that we struggle to when it's crowded out by lots of other noisy voices. In fact, I actually think that we need to work at weaving more times of silence into the regular rhythm of our lives all the time so that we can whisper to God and so that he can whisper to us. Isn't that a lovely thought, that God is waiting for there to be silence in your life and in mine so that he can share some of his best secrets with us? I'm serious about that. I think that's a profound, life-changing thing, to come to the place where we hear and we believe God's voice that is whispering into our hearts, saying, hey, loved one, hey, son or daughter, you're not set aside. You're set apart, and I am right here with you. I hope that's an incredibly encouraging thing for you to hear this morning, and that it will settle your heart and change your disposition toward the loneliness and toward the rejection and toward the silence that maybe you're experiencing now. I know it can be a painful time, and I know that being set aside can be an overwhelmingly tempting time to believe that you are unnoticed and that you have no value. But as you pray through those feelings and you cast those burdens on the one who sees you and empathizes deeply with exactly what you're going through, I'm praying that you'll see that your situation has everything to do with God preparing you for more opportunity to minister to others. His grace will be more manifest in your life during this season of time. You're not set aside, you're set apart for intimate relationship with him. And he's equipping you for his sovereign purposes. I hope I've encouraged you this morning. And I would just say, even now, as we finish our time together, go and spend some intimate time with the Lord right now. Cast your burdens on him. Cast those cares and those fears. Take full advantage of these gifts of rejection, loneliness, and silence, and take advantage of the grace that he wants to provide for you. I hope you're encouraged, and I'll look forward to seeing you again soon for more midweek morning encouragement.